Start now. Yeah. Hi everyone, I'm Nargis and I'm the student program coordinator here at the CEI. So today I want to go over the land acknowledgements and the community agreements. So we recognize that all of us at UW Tacoma learn, live, and work on or near the ancestral homeland of the Coast Salish people. In particular, our campus is situated on the traditional territory of the Puyallup. And since we've gathered virtually and in person, we also want to acknowledge the lands of the Muckleshoot, Nisqually, Squamish, Duwamish, and all other traditional lands we may be on. As people on these occupied territories, we have a responsibility to acknowledge the land, the ancestors who have cared for this land since time immemorial, and all our Indigenous connections today. We also have the responsibility to acknowledge the histories of the disposition and forced removal that have allowed for the growth and survival of this nation and institution. In light of this history, let us take active efforts to partner with our Indigenous community members and neighbors to seek justice as we continue to route our work together as a community of learners, leaders, and educators. So today's community agreements are: please respect each other, come to the space with an open mind, come in the space with a positive attitude, aware of the space you take up. Don't invalidate others' experiences and don't be afraid to speak up, but also don't feel pressured to speak. Let's be constructive and not destructive and allow grace. Okay, and I'm gonna have Cynthia Housen volunteer to introduce herself and then Joel.
Well, how are you doing?
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'll go ahead, I'm far enough away. I'll go ahead and remove my mask so that you can see me speak. I'm so excited to be here. I so enjoyed this book, and thank you for inviting me to introduce you, because it really is an honor. So our poet today, Jamal Gabobe, has a PhD in comparative literature from the University of Washington. And the book he's reading is entitled The Path of Difference, his third poetry book. And I'll say more from the bio as well, but I want to talk for a second about what Dr. Gabobe means to me. As an Africanist in Tacoma, for African studies and appreciation of African cultures, Jamal Gabobe is the activist that I always wanted to be. He's the role model that I needed. He took students to the African Studies Association meetings, and he visited my classes and organized strategy building meetings so that we could think about and talk about ways to share the story that in Tacoma we don't get to hear as frequently. He's published another book of poetry called Love and Memory, and an Arabic poetry book called Kalbi Yanam. Kalbi Yalan. No, no, I got it. I'll try and keep trying. Jamal's travel essay, Termites and Clans, was included in the anthology An Ear to the Ground, presenting writers from two coasts, published by Kuhn Press. He was part of the Jacksaw Writers Program and has written on modern Egyptian literature. And the Canadian author, Margaret Lawrence, his article, European Travel Writing on Somaliland, The Rhetoric of Empire and the Emergence of the Somali Subject, was published by Bildan Journal at the University of Macalester. He's a member of the editorial board for the peer-reviewed journal Access, Interdisciplinary Journal of Student Research and Scholarship, and is staff at the UW Tacoma Library. He's campaigned for social justice issues and worked as a journalist for the Somaliland Times until that weekly was banned by the Somali government for challenging corruption in the government. Everything, basically. He's done everything. And so you can imagine how I was both honored and intimidated to provide this introduction and even to read the book. I'm a political economist. I don't do poetry and art and culture and stuff. So this is like a little scary to me, and I expected to be impressed. What I didn't expect was to just so strongly identify with the poems as I read them here. The nuggets of wisdom and the quick, dry humor. And these poems have a way of sucking you in and making you feel where you're at. I feel like these poems give me the freedom to roll my eyes at society. A kind of permission to be critical without being despondent. And that feels right if you know Jamal not just as a scholar, an activist, a writer, traveler, but also as an educator. He's taught English and Arabic and Somali literatures and has 6 years experience as an instructional consultant in the University of Washington Center for Teaching and Learning. He's also an advisor to UW Tacoma's Somali students and received the 2017 Student Advisor Award. And so without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Dr. Jamal Gabobe.
I just want to, before Jamal gives up his introduction, I'm sorry about the noise in the background. There's a meeting going on in the back, but please forgive us for that.
Thank you, Cynthia, for that wonderful introduction, and thank you, Nergis. And thank you all the people who contributed towards this event, particularly Annie Downey, the Associate Dean of University Libraries and Director of University of Washington Tacoma Library. Thank you, Nedra Lani Logatala, Program Support Supervisor here at the Equity and Inclusion. Thank you, Erica Bailey, Data and Digital Scholarship Librarian. Where's Erica? Somewhere in there, yeah. And thank you, Nergis Alusi, Law and Policy student and at the Center of Equity and Inclusion and Student Program Coordinator. Thank you all for helping in putting this program together. I really appreciate it. The agenda, do I need to go through the agenda? Okay, it's I don't have a lot of time for reading, actually. The agenda is 12:30 to 12:35 is the intro, and then 12:40 to 12:45 is when I speak. I have to have like, what, 15 minutes? And then we'll have 1:05 to 1:15, we have some activity. That's for you guys to do. That's the workshop part for you to contribute. And then once you write your poems, it's about writing a poem, your reaction to my poems, or response rather. And then you share it with us if you can, if you are interested. And then after that is the book signing. So I don't have much time, so I'll try to be as fast as I can.
Do we want to invite people to take more chairs? Now there's some couch seats over here. Feel free to come over here. Don't be shy.
Cynthia has talked about me a little bit, so I'm going to add just a little bit more information about myself to situate the poems and talk a little bit about my background. And before I do that, I'll talk about the background of this book. Every book has a background, has a story. And if you open this book, it's a collaboration between the publisher, who is based in Somaliland and also in Italy. And I'm here, I'm the one who wrote the book. So the book has an American angle, it has Somali angle, it has an Italian angle. So it's kind of cosmopolitan. And that's pretty much the story of my life. I'm ethnic Somali, but I grew up in Aden, Yemen, which at the time was a British colony. It was a cosmopolitan city, a port city. And in my educational background at the time, my parents are Somali, so we only spoke Somali at home. They wouldn't let us speak anything else. But in the country itself was Arabic speaking. So I had to learn Arabic and speak Arabic. And then I went to a private school, which was in English. So all this from early on in my life, I had these multiple identities and multiple influences. And but it wasn't unusual because living in a cosmopolitan city, there were all kinds of people. There were Indians, Somalis in Aden, Arabs, Persians, all kinds of Europeans, British, Italians. It's a port city, a commercial city. And there's a story at the time that there's an Arabist or a scholar or Orientalist called Louis Massignon. And he was in Aden in 1907, and he saw this guy and he asked him, "Are you a Somali or are you a Yemeni?" And his answer was, "I'm a Muslim," which we didn't expect. So these identities, people have multiple identities. They can be Muslim on one part, they can be Christian, they can be Arab, they can be American citizen. So depending on the situation, people choose the identity that they want to emphasize at any particular moment. Let me ask you this. You guys are interested in poetry. Who do you think is the most widely read poet in America. Any guess? No. He's not, okay, I'll give you a clue. He's not American.
Dylan Thomas.
Huh?
Dylan Thomas.
No, he's not European
Is
either.
it Rumi?
Huh?
Is it Rumi?
Rumi, yeah. You know, Jalaluddin Rumi. He is the most selling poet in America right now. And Jalaluddin Rumi has a very interesting story himself. He was born in Afghanistan, and because at the time there was the Mongol invasion, his family had to flee, and he ended up in Konya, which is today Turkey. And he wrote in several languages. Most of his works were in Persian, but he also wrote in Arabic and even Greek. So this is the background that I come from, basically multicultural, very strong interest in poetry, plays a big part in life. Poetry plays a big part in the social life and the political life of Somalis and people from the East in general. I remember one time I invited a major Somali poet. His name is Muhammad Hashid Ama Gariye, here at the University of Washington. And we had this event, and I remember one of my professors there, she is Terry DeYoung. She was in the Near East department. And she was surprised at how the interaction that was going on, how people were responding to him, because they kind of knew the poems. People memorized these poems. So it's pretty lively exchange. Anyway, so I leave it there to give you a sense of the background and the cultural that I come from. And I'll start just now reading from the book, reading the poems. The Path of Difference, that's the name of the book. This poem is called Pax Pacifica. Bone deep cold, touched by the sun rays, wakes up the body, reminds it of possibilities in the body's thoughts through the season of forgetfulness. Pacific breeze felt like the first time, slowly warming the senses. The dialectics of hot and cold, life and death. After years of vagabonding, bones crave their origin. Going through it. Sleepwalking through life, days fold into each other, can no longer tell one from the next. What I need is a clean break, but all breaks are dirty. Simply because they are breaks, and no breaks like another. I realize this demanding hour can't say better late than never, because timing is everything, as they say. The monstrous hour approaching. Familiarity offers no protection. I already see the end. Feel so unprepared. Splintered images, dreams buried but not forgotten. They're here again. I tell myself to man up to the moment, but how can I sever the hand feeding me, even if it's more of the same? What can no longer be stomached? Doing and undoing. The night hunter navigating by instinct in the jungle of dreams. It's late, maybe even too late. But that's neither here nor there. Desire has a logic of its own. What has to be done should be done with care and devotion. It must be done. What has to be undone must be undone with heart and soul. Doing and undoing, made of the same stuff, deserve similar treatment. Between the first day and last, when I set for the journey and now, so many doings, undoings, too many details, the journey feels incomplete. Driven off course to deserted roads, questionable spaces, where the seeds of rebellion are sown. Distances widen between paper and pen, fugitive thoughts, no time for the tongue to speak itself or quell the disorder in a homeless heart. A question pressing me from so many directions puts thought on edge, and making what took so long to make, what was there before, would it be there later? The real thing, or a mere shadow of its real self? I'm not reading them in any particular order. I'm just reading as they are laid out right now. Contraries. Fading strength, determination going stronger, a clear mismatch that doesn't last. Later, it was the opposite. Weakening determination, strength picking up, which was more debilitating. Merely holding on is an achievement. To dispossess, one must first possess. At the crossing, the master showed no mastery. The mystery was left unsolved. At the moment when you looked so beaten and all seemed lost, your fortunes revived. The once bearable, now unbearable. Nothingness, a moving target, to beat it at its own game, an unwinnable bet, condemned to try anyway. You bear what you can, and bear what you can't. The hours shrinking into minutes, seconds, parts that could be explained, but what about the other parts that can't be explained? Sums that don't add up. There's a typo there, said that don't up. Instead, blame my publisher there. Days and nights working against each other. The pull and push of broken hopes, words that wouldn't form, what I tried to achieve but couldn't. It's happening. I confess before you ask, so you won't ask. Doubts and hesitations own the moment, dissipating strength, the once unbearable, now bearable. The pain of ecstasy, long stretches of numbness, days and nights spent at the mercy of contraries, banished emotions rally to the surface, pose for a photo, smile, click, click. More of the same, more or less, more is less, less is more. The sum less than the parts, absence and presence at each other's throat. The West and the rest. They call us the rest. They think they are being nice, at their best. But I have my doubts about peaks and crests. The West and the rest. Ordered disorder. Messages coded, decoded, massaged ad infinitum. The order of things upset, day-to-day existence, or rather subsistence. Ordered disorder, until we find another way, or it finds us. Something has to give. Unlikely in the calculus of profit and loss, as gain and no pain, always soaring and never falling. Waiting to be fulfilled. The ghost of desire appearing out of nowhere wants to impose its sovereignty, undermines it instead. Inventing reasonable sounding justifications that go against reason, twisting reality to align with it, gets its way temporarily, but remains unfulfilled. It's not the first time this happens, and it won't be the last. Desire never learns. It always wants. Even when it gets, it still wants. Enough is foreign to it, always waiting to be fulfilled. Falling. Strong gusts of wind, some leaves wrestle on the branches, stay green. Others fall on the ground, dry up, wilt, or become mushy, depending on rain or no rain, depending on how many times it was stepped on by pedestrians, cars, and trucks, depending on where they fall. Different sized leaves falling from the same tree. One is the size of a dollar bill. Some are bigger and a few are smaller, falling at different speeds. One doesn't want to wait at all, goes straight down. Another lingers for as long as it could, showing off its colors, acrobatic skills. A third zigzags its way down. They're different once they are touched the ground. Some willingly join the wind, going with the flow. Some bundle together, refusing to move. From their new locale, others moved once, but that was all. One perched in the middle of the street, taking the shape of a crown. I hesitate when I'm approaching them, the way I hesitate to rush past the disabled man trying to cross the street. I don't want to hear the swish of the leaves when I step on them. I don't want to fall against my will, a leaf swept by the wind. So I stay awake and away. I make no promises or commitments, just float. Avoid for as long as I can the beckoning embraces because I know what comes after. Uneasy lies the rock hanging at the edge of the cliff. Its destiny already set, gravity's victim, sinking to the bottom of the well, no time for sadness or regret. Actions trump words, leaving behind hype and hyperbole, truth revealed in movement, in the agony of falling, not in speech. These are a little longer poems. It's a sequence of dreams, actually. They just came from nowhere. I don't know where they came from. I've dreamt of you, this is dream number one. I've dreamt of you and prayed for you. I can't recall them all, but here is somewhat I have lived and remember. Your golden heart gives of itself, doesn't hold back. Makes me stop and wonder, so much goodness in one heart. Your prayers, a shower of faith at a moment of doubt. The depth of your eyes say so much more than words. Take me beyond myself to you. I'm so grateful. Last night, your image flickered through my eyes. I rejoiced just because it was you in front of me, your presence rioting in my flesh. I wasn't walking towards you, but I could not reach you. I walked fast, I walked slow. The result was the same. I could not reach you. It wasn't that you were faster or that I was slower. I just couldn't reach you. The psychic toll, it wasn't about speed and distance, but the psychic toll was out of control. Dream number two. Last night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed for hours, got up, walked back and forth in the room till I was tired. Went back to bed, lay there for a while, no sleep, realized what was happening. I was fighting sleep to get some sleep. Dream number three. Slapped in the face by mad dog waves, pulling me down, I pushed back, tried to stay above the sea's salty breath. I was so happy when I saw you last. I want to be always as happy as that. Why is happiness so hard? When you're away, I feel part of me severed. I want you to come back. You don't have to bring back gone glory or make promises. Just come. Let's become. You are a word. I wish you were here. You are more than a wish, more than you. You are a word. Speak to me. You don't have to dish. I wish you were here. You are my word. I want more of you. Your scent, your voice, you. Rising tide opens vulnerabilities. Plagued by doubt, uncertainty, I question myself. I want to know the reason behind this foreign agitation hitting my nerves. I have dreamt of you so often. Each time you were different, neither a bridge nor a footpath. There was a chance for us to be on the same path and for you to be different. But that was not to be. I got in the way, you got in the way, life got in the way. We're back to where we started. I have dreamt of you so often, but every time it's different. You say you are the same, but things aren't the same. You say it's just a dream. Things can be the same and different. If nothing is the same, nothing is different. Put an end to this dry spell, please. Let me in. Make me in your dream. Be my home. I have turned to your heart's whispers, to the sun's scent on your neck. Talk to me. Let the words out of their prison and juju their way to my ears. I succumb to the temptation, the fleshiness of the flesh, a fantastic delirium, then a sudden crash. No regrets. We'll do it again in a heartbeat. I'm excited, eager, ready for friendship. I'm alert, alive, ready to commit. I'm alert, alive, ready for love. I have dreamt of you so often. Every time it's different. Yeah, it's the end of those dreams. How much time I have?
Show some love to Jamal.
It's 1 o'clock. Let me look at the schedule here. Are we on schedule?
On schedule.
Huh?
You're on schedule. It's exactly 1 o'clock.
It's 1 o'clock. 1:05 is the activity. What do you,
You want to read another poem?
you want to read it? Okay. I can read you all day. I can read the whole book. Okay. Wanting but not seeking. With so many claims flying around, tentativeness, caveats obscuring the core, prompting us to dig harder, trying to see or touch what's behind the veil. We continue the search because we know it's in the nature of doubt to eventually undo itself and reveal stressful moments exposing strengths and weaknesses, the exquisite facade of wanting but not seeking, lacking laser focus, the single-minded dedication of ants, the will of hungry beasts, and so the pendulum swings back and forth, physical pain, mental pressure, an awful combo sapping the will. Time's imperatives. The sun bathing the world in light, making it feel lighter, prompting the urge to go out there, just like today. Prompting the urge to go out there into that visible space and claim it, triggering the dismissive sigh and the desiring glance, elemental conflicts of self and other, the shrinking of the space between sky and earth. Still time, and time still escapes. Tomorrow is almost here, and yesterday definitely gone, suspended between the raging fire and moon promise, the asymmetry of beginning and end, records, archives, history, soil's hands, witnessing against the truth. I can't read the future or dwell on the past, so I stick to the present, whether it makes sense or not.
So now we're gonna move on to an activity that Jamal came up with. So you're writing your reaction to his poems, or you're writing your own poem about your identities, community, or experience of difference. So I'm gonna pass these papers around. If you have a paper already. So we're gonna spend this time, you guys can write your poem, share it to the person next to you, or even if you want, share it out loud after we begin. You guys have like about 10 minutes?
To write first, and then we'll talk?
Yeah, to write and then we'll talk. So at 1:15, we'll share our poems. All right, guys, you could just wrap it up. You can share now your poem or whatever you wrote, your story, to the person next to you or to groups 2 or 3, whatever you feel comfortable with. And then after that, we can share out loud if anyone would like to. And if any of the online folks would like to share, please comment below.
Hey, folks. I'm gonna ask for just a momentary second of attention here because I know that some people are gonna wanna leave for 1:30 classes. And I wanted to make sure that everybody has the opportunity who wants to get a book or learn about a couple of other ones. Jamal is gonna show you a couple of his books that he's written that we don't have here so that you can see what you might be able to access in the library. And then the path of difference for those of you who want it today for $20. Might want to see this Cash App option and you know whether that's Cash or Cash App. But Jamal, did you want to come up and show us a couple of your? You wanted to show us the books you were sharing with me, and I was like, oh, everybody should take these.
Okay, of course, this is available right now. The one I'm reading from, called The Path of Difference. You've seen that. This is my first book. Actually, it's out of print. I'm gonna try and talk to my publisher to reissue it. We have copies of it in the library, though. It's called Love and Memory. Yeah. This is my Arabic book. It's just it was out last year. Qalbun La Yanam. It's poetry. Those are for those who speak Arabic. It's not in the library. I have it if you want to buy it. I have copies from my publisher. What else? Let me see. Okay, this book here, Focus on Egypt. It's on, this whole book is on Egypt, and it's by different authors. I have a couple of pieces in there. It's reviews of Egyptian literature. It's available. We have this is the library's copy, actually. Yeah, so that's. And this one has a travel piece that I wrote in it. It's called An Ear to the Ground, Writings, presenting writers from 2 coasts. There's a couple of very famous people in it. There's Arun Gandhi, which is Gandhi's grandson. And Václav Havel, you guys know Václav Havel, right? President of Czechoslovakia, well, Czech Republic now. He has a piece in there. So there's Horton Foote. Horton Foote wrote the screenplay for the movie To Kill a Mockingbird. He's a screenwriter, playwright. That's it for now. Yeah. Yeah, just wanted to familiarize yourself.
I'm going to open up the floor to anyone who would like to share their story, poem, their reaction to Jamal's book. So, if anyone would like to share. I can read mine first. Mine doesn't really make that much sense. I shared it with Kyle. I shared it with my friend Himanshu and Erica. But what I had written was, I'm just me, but I am more than that. I am Iraq. I am Arab. I am Muslim. I'm American. I am the face of my teta, my grandma. I am my parents' little girl, the girl who left the streets of Damascus at 5, the girl who never knew home, the girl who craves the closeness of her family, her country, Iraq, her home. And I dedicated it to the girl who I left behind in Syria in 2005.
Yeah, I have something to say about Nergis. I forgot. When I saw her name, Nergis, I saw her last name, Alusi. And I said, Alusi, that's a very familiar name. I remember when I was talking about that guy, the French guy in Aden who was asked, Louis Massignon. He asked the Somali guy whether he was a Yemeni or Somali. Now that guy, Louis Massignon, has a very interesting story. He was a Frenchman, and he went to Iraq right around early this century, and he was doing some work on archaeology. Sorry, he was doing digging for finding archaeological artifacts, and then he was Let me remove this. And then he was at the time, the Iraq at the time was run by the Ottomans. So they thought he was a spy. So they caught him, and he was kind of under a lot of stress. And then a member of her family, Al-Hajj Alusi, intervened and had him released. And he got sick, and they helped him get back, recover. And he became so impressed. Later on, he became one of the major French scholars on Islam and Islamic Christian dialogue. Louis Massignon, he's a big name in Islamic studies in the West, thanks to our family. He was impressed with their hospitality, the way they took care of him. And he paid back by actually studying Islam and creating dialogue between Muslims and Christians and those sort of things. Yeah, look him up, Louis Massignon. You will see her family's big story in there. Actually, they have pictures of them actually, of Ali Al-Alusi and Mahmoud Shukri Al-Alusi. There was two of them with Hajj. They were judges, they were scholars and prominent people in Iraq at the time. Anyway, I thought I should add that. I forgot to. I wanted to mention it earlier, but yeah.
Thank you so much. Any other clips I can share?
Right. Hi, everyone. My name is Bengisu, and I wrote mine on being Turkish American. So I do have dual citizenship, and I just wanted to write about my experiences, not feeling quite a sense of belonging here as well as in Turkey. So I started off with, where am I? It's not distant, but I'm not integrated. I touch the soil, but my blood pulls me elsewhere. I'm in one country outside and then in another at home. I have more than two identities, more than one tongue, and a bustling life. I walk through stores, streets, homes, cars, and understand the culture, but I'm still distant. I'm physically here, but my heart is attached to something big, almost imaginary. The feeling of non-acceptance dawned upon me at a young age. Not enough here, not enough there. So where am I? I'm in the place that I made through love and hands that won't let go of me. Thank you.
Elisa. I volunteer.
My name is Melissa Amaya, and my poem is kind of about these feelings I had as a child. Both my parents are foreign. My mom's from Germany, my father's from Costa Rica. Always wanted to be like them, did not want to be unique, felt the pressure to fit in instead of stand out. But difference is grand. Difference is attractive, teachers would say. Yet in my mind, as a child, differs. It is not until the reality of life matures that difference is embraced as something to be desired.
I'm getting the eyes. You should go.
For those who don't know me, my name is Nedra, and I too also wrote about my childhood, so these are some thoughts. I think about the times when life was easy, when all we cared about who was the king or queen of the jungle gym, or who could outrun the boys in my place. I remember having to worry about school, doing my chores, and then trying to spend every minute I had in the sun till the streetlights came on. The neighborhood came alive after 5 p.m. when the manager left. A different type of noise filled the air with laughter, happiness, and joy. Joy of being in community with one another. Joy of not being afraid of anything in the world, except for our parents whenever we came home after the streetlights came on. Life was easy. Life was great. I think about the life I want for my children. What kind of childhood do I want for them? A world without their eyes stuck on screens and not having any clue what's going on around them. A world where their worries aren't about killings and shootings. A world where there isn't worry about safety and kidnapping. I dream of a reality where my children can play carefree without the fears of the world breathing down their back. I dream of a reality where we can go back to my childhood days and bring them to the present. I dream and I will make this a reality filled with laughter, happiness, and joy.
Else?
I guess I'll go.
You can go after. You can go after.
Oh, there we go. Cultures come in conflict. Nations fight nations. I watched your funeral procession, the whole nation sobbing. They held your picture up to defy this great America. Their shattered dreams dissolved into hatred. I looked at your pictures on the net, the way the supreme leader looked at you, the love of a father for a son. He cried when he spoke of you, while we rejoiced. They say you were too dangerous to live, that you were responsible for many soldiers' deaths. I saw the pictures of the drone strike and your charred remains. They identified the ring on your severed hand. And to my shock, the 2 books of poetry by your side survived. I searched the net looking for the names of the titles. They were never listed. I guess people thought they weren't relevant. But to me, you changed from a monster to a human being, the enemy of my nation, the killer of soldiers and women and children. So you are lost to me, but for those 2 books of poetry. So in 2020, Qasem Soleimani was killed in a drone strike by the American government. And I looked at him and I saw that I was looking at it and he was the enemy of America, but they found 2 books of poetry by him, and poetry has always been kind of pure to me. And so it really stuck with me, those 2 conflicting elements. So thank you.
Hello, sleep deprivation. What is this dark damnation? From wondering if Tyson could beat Bruce Lee, to wondering why the 2 E's are silent in B. Exactly what cosmic force lies beyond human eyes that grants us the thought of how with every stranger, a new story lies. Oh, it's 3 a.m. I have to be up in 3 hours. This was literally based off of something that I went through last night, but it's just really odd, just if you really if you're alone for a little bit, and by a little bit I mean like a sort of a longer period of time, your mind goes to places that it doesn't usually go to. If you're I don't know, just going about your day, not really thinking, but if you do think, you go places.
I like that.
Would any folks online like to share? You can share whenever you like. If anyone else would like to go up there and share, or sit down and share.
Maybe we'll take one more. Let's see, it's 1:35. Oh, yes, Marcia. Go on up there.
So this is a lot about who I am. It's very short though, but it made such an impression upon my life since I was little. This is how a good part of my identity anyway. PX, commissaries, a global community. Sunday afternoon rides through Bavarian countrysides, through the Pennsylvania Dutch lands, the Baltimore Harbor, then back to the gated community of the military base we called home. That was it.
All right, well, now it is about time. You guys can socialize, write more poems, share with people around you. Back over there is where we're selling the books. If you scan the Cash App code, that's how you can just purchase it over there. Or I think we're taking cash as well. So that's happening, and you can ask questions to Jamal. He'll be around. But that's it, everyone. Thank you so much for coming.
What's that?
If you'd like to say something.
Not really. I think thank you all for coming and buy my books.
Erica, raise your hand. Erica, if you guys want to purchase a book, she can help you over there. Thank you for coming to the CEI. Hope you all enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Yeah.
Yes.
Tatiana. Yeah.